Hello, Tamara Green here for A Course in Miracles, lesson number 66. Let's open up the neck. Okay, breathe in. Exhale, take the curve out of the back of your neck. Breathe in and out. Now breathe in and face the ceiling, opening up your throat. Breathe in and exhale. Breathe in and exhale. Again, chin to chest. And then from here, slightly bend your knees and grab the floor with your toes and heels. And we're going to move nice and slow in each direction 3 times. So that's 1. 2, you want to loosen the jaw. 3, and reverse. 1, 2, and 3. And slowly come up and around the shoulder a few times. Very good. Hearing little crackly noises in the neck is not a bad thing. It's literally opening up the joints. So that's what we want. That's good. Okay. All right. A Course in Miracles, lesson number 66. My happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection, yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. It is not a two-way battle. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness. Today, we will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attacks on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what the truth is. Our longer practice period today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function of God, the function God gave you, and your happiness, but that they are actually identical. God gives you happiness. Therefore, the function He gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. Begin the 10 to 15 minute practice periods by reviewing these thoughts. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in the sequence, even if you do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the first 2 thoughts are wrong that the conclusion must be false. Let us then think about the premises for a while as we are practicing. The first premise is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order to be false, it is necessary to define God as something He is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God cannot give what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. Unless God gives you only happiness, He must be evil. And it is this definition of Him you are believing if you do not accept the first premise. The second premise is that God has given you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by the ego and is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit, where truth abides. There are only other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice but the fear that the ego always engenders and the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through his voice, or is made by the ego which you have made to replace him. Which is true, unless God gave your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego. Does the ego really have gifts to give? Being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts? Think about this during the longer practice periods today. Think also about the many forms the illusion of your function has taken in your mind and the many ways in which you tried to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We need great honesty today. Remember the outcomes fairly, and consider also whether it was ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice. You will listen to madness or hear the truth. Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusions rest. We can share in this conclusion, but in no order, for God himself shares it with us. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same and the different as different. On one side stand all illusions, all truth on the other. Let us try today to realize that the only truth is true in the shorter practice periods, which would be most helpful today if undertaken twice an hour. This form of the application is suggested. My happiness and my function are one because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute and probably less to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little while as you say them. So 66 is my happiness and my function are one. Everything the ego produces is pretty much fear-based. It claims that it's our protector. But the truth is that it keeps us in a life filled with fear and chaos. Our Holy Spirit is our guidance. It's where the truth comes through. And the only thing that cures anything fear-based or ego-based is truth, love, the Holy Spirit, kind of all the same. And our function is love, right? We were indoctrinated with fear, and now we're using our function of love, which is the guidance of our Holy Spirit, to heal all that we fear. And we need our ego to function as a human being in this world, but the ego can no longer be in the driver's seat of our lives. The ego needs to be in the back seat. And the Holy Spirit is our guide in the front seat of our life. May you be well. May you feel safe. And may you be at peace. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.